everybody, it's Dr. Jason Piken. Welcome to another episode of the Digestion Diaries. What I'm going to be talking about today is IBS, Irritable Bowel Syndrome, and the causes of it and how to fix it. We're going to be focusing on IBS because so many people have it. IBS simply stands for Irritable Bowel Syndrome. That's it. It's not really a disease, irritable bowel syndrome, but it's so common. About 1/3 of the people that walk into my office have some form of irritable bowel syndrome. And I'm not a gastroenterologist. I'm primarily a chiropractor. I am a nutritionist, so I do see a lot of nutrition people, and I'm a health coach. So what I get is a big wide gamut of people, almost like a primary care physician that you'd go to, not a GI specialist, which is going to see a much more high percentage of irritable bowel syndrome. So why would a person like me see a lot of irritable bowel syndrome in their office? Well, it's mainly because the gut is a source of chronic inflammation, which drives symptoms, especially the symptom of pain. And anybody out there that's suffering from some type of chronic pain, I don't care whether it's headaches or shoulder pain or hip problems, a lot of times what's driving that pain, what keeps it from healing, is issues with your gut. So I really wanted to stand here today. I'm standing instead of sitting because I have a lot to say and I do better when I get to move around. I really wanted to be able to go right from the start and explain where IBS comes from. And to be honest with you, you can take the term IBS and substitute anything else. Headaches, acid reflux, just plain old constipation. Any type of symptom that you have, you can put in place of IBS when we talk about the cause, what leads up to it. And then I'm going to explain to you the most important steps you can take right away to start healing, to start getting better. So first, I think the best way of explaining the cause of IBS is really just giving you my own story. I've done this in some other videos, but not everybody sees everything, so I really want to start from scratch. So I'm born in 1971, a product of the 70s in Queens, meaning that my parents had no idea that holistic healthcare was around at all. I was immediately put on a bottle, not the breast, because at that time the knowledge was that a bottle-fed, formula-fed was better than breastfeeding. So what we know and understand now is that breastfeeding is the first inoculation of gut health and overall immune system health that a child can receive. And it's best, it's not impossible to survive because I'm here, but it's best if you can start off your life breastfed. Well, I wasn't. So we're still here, but that's the first chemistry insult to my body, not having that inoculation of good bacteria that you get from breast milk. Now another bit of inoculation of good health that you get right at the birth process itself, I luckily did have. I wasn't a C-section, it was a plain old vaginal birth. I guess I experienced it, my mom told me about it later. And that is another important instance that drives the health throughout your life. When you pass through the vaginal canal as a baby, you're actually getting a lot of bacteria exposed all over your body. And that bacteria is beneficial to forming your microbiome. Your microbiome is a term used for all the microorganisms that live in and on our body. And every single time we're exposed to a microorganism in our environment, it actually is going to harm or hurt us, but the vast majority of these little microorganisms are beneficial to us, especially the ones that are passed on to us right during the birth right during your birth, let's say. So I had 50-50, no breastfeeding and vaginal birth. So I didn't have the most perfect microbiome to start with. And then one of the first symptoms I had to be told about, and I kind of have memories about, was my first symptom of digestive issues, constipation. Now, I don't remember much of this, but I just remember I had poop issues. I was straining, and a lot of children go for this. They don't go for this. A lot of children have this. even if they are breastfed, and even if they do have a vaginal birth and they live in the most holistic environment, they can still get constipation. Sometimes symptoms aren't caused by somebody doing something wrong. Sometimes they just are. There are lots of things that play into it. What I want to give you an account of is just what happened that formed my gut issues, and that I tend to see as a similar story that forms others. So, bottle feeding was number one, vaginal birth, but because I didn't have the optimal gut at first, I believe, constipation develops. Now, what happens to treat the constipation was just temporary fixes. Today, it's Miralax is one of the most common things prescribed. Now, what Miralax doesn't do is it doesn't ask the question, why do you have constipation in the first place? In my case, I really believe that it's because I didn't have the right microorganisms in my gut. You see, these traumas, they can start early, or these lack of sufficiency can start early. So I had temporary fixes. I'm not going to even go into the 70s fixes for constipation. It wasn't a great memories. But what happened is I got through them. But at the same time, or maybe just a little bit later, I started developing ear infections. Now, how does constipation in your gut correlate with ear infections? Well, 80% of your immune system function is in your gut. So if I don't have a healthy gut, I might not have the most healthy immune system. The other gigantic reason for ear infections that most people don't know about, the kids of course don't understand, and most parents don't understand, is when a baby's head is in its early stages. The eustachian tubes, the tubes that come from the outer ear into the eardrum, are basically set up like this. They're at an angle. So if there's fluid that builds up in the ear just because of normal life and things changing, or even maybe a little infection, that fluid can't drain down like it can in an adult. See, in an adult, those tubes are like parallel to the ground and maybe even slightly down. So as the baby's head gets larger, that fluid can drain. And this is why typically adults don't get ear infections. I said typically. Don't quote my every single word in saying adults never get them or older kids never get them. But kids tend to get them early on, not because they're unhealthy, but because they have restriction and tension in their skull. And I'll tell you, the best correction for ear infections in our infants is chiropractic care, is cranial sacral work by somebody that knows SOT, sacral occipital technique, or applied kinesiology like I do. And if you can get the movement in the jaw and the neck, in the neck muscles and the skull muscles, and of the joints of the neck, when you're at a young age, you can actually get over ear infections, get over the cause. Yet, this is the Digestion Diaries, and another cause of those ear infections is a problem with your immune system. You can't fight off the infection because it's not developed enough. Why? Maybe because of those early instances I mentioned. So what's the cure for ear infections? Well, antibiotics. That's what doctors prescribe. And there's been studies that have shown that if you take antibiotics for an ear infection, it'll get better within 7 days. And there's also studies that show that if you don't take antibiotics for ear infections, it'll get better within a week. If you get what I just said there, there's no real difference in the amount of time. And I do see that when people are given, or children are given antibiotics for their ear infections, they do tend to get more comfortable more quickly. I got to give that to it. There is a quicker relief. But when only one of my children had an ear infection, my oldest daughter Ryan, what I did is I adjusted her 6 times throughout an evening. It was actually, unfortunately, overnight. I kept moving it, moving the bone and unrestricting her neck. And in the morning, pain was gone without any antibiotics. And you know what? She never got another ear infection again. Now, that's a case study of one, but I've heard this plenty of other times from plenty of other chiropractors and from patients I've seen that have been really little babies. So when you look at how does IBS develop, well, sometimes it can start from right at the beginning, because those antibiotics that maybe did help clear up the pain from my ear infection, destroy good, beneficial bacteria in your gut. And I had multiple ear infections. I had more than I can even remember. And each time, basically what happened is I got more antibiotics. And that cycle of ear infection, antibiotic, destroys the gut even further. And this is before I was even 5 years old. Because you know what happened at 5 years old? I had surgery. I had tubes put in my ear to facilitate drainage. I had my adenoids removed, a gland in the throat that's part of your immune system. And that was believed, and sometimes still is believed, to be part of the problem. But what I see it as now, understanding the body and how it works, is my adenoids weren't faulty. They didn't need to be removed. My gut was faulty. My immune system wasn't developed enough. And if you feed the body well, it can get over that. I'll get to that later. This is all background. So I had surgery. No more ear infections. It worked. Did it make me healthy? No, because what do I develop next? Allergies. Allergies are basically part of the immune system. Now this, instead of a low immune system, it's actually a hyper reaction to your immune system. I was allergic to pollen and grass and trees and all the regular stuff that a lot of people are allergic to. But at the time, the meds weren't even that great, and I do believe in taking something to be comfortable sometimes. I remember Drixoral was the medication of the time. And it used to just knock me the heck out. Not as bad as Benadryl. Benadryl would put me right to sleep. Drixoral, at least I can function. But I was this sneezy, sniffly kid. During the summers, sometimes I was just miserable, spending like hours rubbing my eyes and rubbing everything. And that affects who you believe you are as a person. Because you see, the first emotional stresses also start early. We were talking about chemistry stresses at first, but there are emotional stresses that put you in your place in the world. And from a very early age, I felt almost sickly. I didn't have any diseases. I didn't have cancer. I wasn't suffering like that. But I couldn't act like the other kids. And so sometimes I just had to suffer. I remember not having tissues to wipe my hands with, so I would just kind of go like this with my shirt. I felt gross. And I'm sure other people felt that about me, or maybe just thinking about that right now. Maybe it was all in my head, but I believed there was something less good, less amazing about it. And this is part of life. It'll happen to everybody at some point, but now you're making a picture of chemical stresses that affected my health, emotional stresses that affected my health. And what was the next thing that developed? Psoriasis. Psoriasis is an autoimmune condition that I developed at probably about 10, 11 years old. Still that sniffly, sneezy allergy kid in the summers. Pretty good the rest of the time. And I developed psoriasis, and I had red, itchy skin, and one of the worst places it developed was in my scalp. I remember being on the bus in camp. For some reason, a lot of these things happened during the summer, maybe just the memories of it. And I remember going like this and scratching my head, and white snowflakes falling down. It reminds me of The Breakfast Club. If anybody is old enough to remember that scene, or if you've seen the movie, I didn't have a piece of paper and make it snow in front of me, but it was like that, the flakes falling down. And I remember a few, especially girls, looking over and going, ew, that's gross. Another physical manifestation that was going on in my body that created some emotional stress. Now, psoriasis, or I believe most skin issues, especially redness, itchy, flaky skin, is more gut issues. Virtually all autoimmune issues that I see in my office have some relationship to gut health. So, by the way, all this time, I'm like 10, 11 now, was I eating well and taking probiotics and eating fermented foods and everything like that? No. My mom cooked real food, but I was an extraordinarily picky eater. So not only did I have a bad start, my taste buds put me in a place, in a position, where I only ate about 15 things. And those 15 things were pizza and hamburgers and French fries and chicken cutlets, fried chicken cutlets, of course. But my diet was very limited. So I never gave myself the opportunity to get better. My parents didn't know about these issues and how they would affect me, so they didn't force me to eat a certain way. I just ate the way I wanted to because I was in generally good health, just these itchy skin, these allergies, these annoying things that weren't life-threatening, so we all ignored it. And then I get to chiropractic college. I'm skipping around a lot of different things here, but I believe I wound up in chiropractic college because all of my life experiences brought me to learn how to become a health practitioner. When in chiropractic college, I finally started taking some courses on nutrition, and it started to make sense to me how all this played out. Now, I wasn't taking it really seriously because I was into the structure of the body and how subluxation, misalignments of our spine, can irritate the nervous system and can cause many problems in our life. And I still believe that's a huge play into why people don't get better, even IBS. I'll get to that. But what I did start to learn was how nutrition affected me. So I graduate chiropractic college. I'm skipping a few things here. And I'm in practice in my first year. And during my first year of practice, besides having chronic pain left over from a bad car accident, something for another video, and not dealing with stress as well as I thought I should, for some sort of reason, it just kind of came on all of a sudden, I also developed acid reflux. And I wouldn't even have thought this acid reflux was so bad, but I kind of felt like a fraud. I was dealing with chronic pain, acid reflux, and anxiety, tension, and I was a health practitioner. There are these stresses and traumas that happen your whole life, some of them physical, some of them chemical, some of them emotional, that create problems many years down the line. And what we have to understand is that if we really want to heal IBS, we have to understand that sometimes the healing is a journey. And now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of, well, what do you do? So you're this 20-something-year-old person, because I was 26 when I first had any digestive symptoms that I knew about. So I was 26 years old. Some patients come to me at 36, at 46, at 56, and they didn't really develop their problems until much later on in life. And they believe their problems have only been going on for weeks or months, some of them years, but most of them don't realize that they've been gradually building for actually decades, maybe even since they were born. And so when it comes to IBS, we're going to talk about the 3 fixes for IBS. Physical, chemical, and emotional, of course. I mentioned this in other videos, but I'm going to say some specific things when it comes to IBS. 1, we have to talk about the physical stresses that can lead to IBS. There is something called a subluxation. A subluxation is a misalignment of a bone that irritates the nervous system. It's the main thing that chiropractic treats. So if you don't have a good chiropractor that will adjust you and understands the importance of that word subluxation, find another one, because there are plenty of them that do. Okay, I'm going to show you the ones that matter most. So, 1, for IBS, usually what people are experiencing are difficulties in their small and large intestine, way down in their intestines. So what I'm going to tell you is the nerves in your lumbar spine, and right here should be a picture of a lumbar spine, and the nerves right at the bottom of the lumbar spine go and flow into your intestines. Now, you might be experiencing back pain. You might be experiencing back pain over here or in your glutes. Sometimes the reason why you have your pain is because your intestines are actually giving your body a signal saying, hey, there's something wrong. They don't know how to talk and communicate with you because the only time you'll feel a problem with your intestines is if they're being stretched or cut. So if there is minor malfunction, if they're not absorbing well, if they're not eliminating well, if there's an abnormal balance of gut microbes that's keeping your immune system in an unhealthy state, you're not going to really know about it. So what sometimes the body does when its intelligence is being expressed is it gives you pain. Now if you get 1 or 2 adjustments and you get your muscles rubbed and all your pain's gone, I'm sure it was mechanical, most likely. But if your pain persists, it may not be mechanical. It may not be something that you can exercise or massage or acupuncture or adjustment away. you may have to look to one of the other causes of that pain, which could be your gut. So also it goes vice versa. If you have major slips and accidents and falls, I've been in 13 car accidents altogether. Luckily, none of them my fault. Unlucky passenger. Some of these car accidents were major. I've broken my back in 2 places in one of them. I've also broken my spine another time, falling down the stairs. Again, bad luck. But let's say you have maybe not that excessive of a trauma, but you sit all day. Or you fell off a bike when you were 16 years old and it was a pretty nasty fall. And you tweaked your low back. It doesn't hurt anymore because the body is intelligent and it finds ways to adapt to keep you comfortable. But you lost some movement. You don't move as the same way you did in the past. That physical problem could be irritating the nervous system in a way that causes gut motility issues, meaning the intestines don't move like they should. And if you don't have intestines that move properly, they don't eliminate toxins, they don't digest your food properly. So what I'm going to tell you is if you have IBS that's unresolved, you have to at least in part try chiropractic. Find a chiropractor that understands that relationship and see if they can help you. Of course, I'm going to believe that the best type of chiropractic is applied kinesiology, because that's what I practice. Kinesiology is the study of muscles and movements of the body. And applied kinesiology is a system that's developed that corrects any abnormality of movement using lots of different techniques, chiropractic being one of them. But there are specific muscle techniques. I use something called a cold laser. I do lots of physical tricks that we can find to relieve physical stress from the body. And if you get that stress removed, there is freedom here, and a lot of times you can heal. Now, that's only one aspect. We're going to get to the chemistry aspect right now also. So what do we do when we have this lifelong amount of stress from maybe eating the wrong things, not having the good friendly bugs, not having the proper microbiome in your gut, and now you have digestive issues? What do? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to figure out the right food for you. And you can start off with the simple 4 letters, JERF. Just eat real food. That's all you have to remember at first. Just eat real food means if it comes in a box, if it's highly processed, don't eat it. I mean, you know the difference between a banana, an apple, some ingredients that come in a salad, a grilled piece of chicken, an egg, and hot tamales as a candy. Oreo cookies, the McDonald's hamburger, which, I don't know, there's some ingredients in there, there's some lettuce and some tomato, but you know what, there's some ingredients we don't understand. Like, how does that bun not disintegrate, not degenerate, and not become spoiled after weeks of sitting on a shelf? If you don't know what I'm talking about, that, look it up on YouTube and just Google, how long does a McDonald's hamburger bun last? And what I'm going to say is the longer the shelf life of a product, the longer a product can sit on the shelf, the less likely it is good for our body. There are exceptions to this, but if I'm just being simple here without getting into you as an individual, JERF, just eat real food. And if you're doing that already, here's the expert tip. If you really feel like you're eating healthy but you're still not getting the results you want from your IBS, well then you have to pick an elimination reintroduction diet. I have lots of these on my website and I have materials I can send you. Look for other YouTube videos where I explain other types of diets. But the number one that I use is the AI Paleo program. Autoimmune Paleo. You can look that up. I have it in my office. I call it the leaky gut diet. The reason I don't call mine the AI Paleo program is because there are slight variations when you look at different practitioners and different people that write books in the ingredient list. And in order for there to be less controversy, leaky gut is a general term that's not as specific as AI Paleo. So I called my diet plan the leaky gut diet plan. I call it almost the greatest diet on the planet. But what it is an elimination reintroduction diet. What it means is we, for a period of time, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 12 weeks. Eat a very limited diet. What this diet consists of is all natural proteins, wild fish, beef, chicken, hopefully if you're eating beef or chicken or pork, it is grass-fed, free range, and not fed anything that is non-organic. And if you eat these natural foods, you should have less problems digesting them because there's no chemicals in them. There's nothing to irritate you, hopefully. What you're also going to be eating is all the fruit and vegetables you want, except for the nightshade family of basically fruits, some vegetable. You can look up a nightshade family list. A lot of people have heard of it. Some of the things on the nightshade list are tomatoes, eggplants, white potatoes. Why did I conclude tomatoes and white potatoes and I threw in eggplant? It's because I don't want to give you a whole list that you're not going to remember, and some of it will be in the show notes. But the potatoes and the tomatoes are just so widely eaten by so many people, and they're common irritants. And eggplant, another nightshade family food that tends to cause inflammation. So I mentioned those three, and there are others on the list. Another really common one is peppers. Peppers, anything from red peppers, green peppers, spicy peppers. The spices are good for your health, but some people react to the nightshade family of food where it irritates their gut and it causes general inflammation in their body. So you're allowed all these nice proteins. You're allowed all the fruits and vegetables you'd like except for the ones I just mentioned. And you're allowed healthy fats like avocado, like coconut oil, like olive oil. So you do have a wide range of foods depending on your ability to cook or your ability to shop and your ability to learn about new things. What you can't have are grains, beans, lentils, at first eggs and dairy. These things are just off the list. So again, if you'd like a copy of it, email me at my email right in the show notes, and I'll send you a copy of my Leaky Gut Diet, or visit my website at drjasonpiken.com, drjasonpiken.com, drjasonpiken.com. And there's links where you can get it yourself. You don't even have to contact me. Just fill out your email right in the click box, and it'll be sent off to you. So after you eliminate foods for a period of time, well, then what you want to do is you want to reintroduce those foods. And you don't want to reintroduce it right away. You want to reintroduce it one food group at a time. So let's say you haven't been eating dairy for a period of time, and now you put it back in. You want to have a lot of dairy during that week, and you want to assess how it makes you feel. Does it create energy swings? Do you feel lower energy? Does it create headaches? Do you feel more mucus? Do you feel more constipation, more loose stool? Is it creating more gas and bloating? You have to do this for every single food group. And I'm going to tell you, if you have the discipline to take about 4 to 6 months to go through this process of eliminating and reintroducing, you're going to learn a whole lot. What you're going to learn is the U diet. You're going to learn about what foods nourish you and what foods don't. And if you have that as a tool, you can get better. Because what you really have to do to heal IBS is only eat foods that nourish you. And yes, I said only eat foods that nourish you. That means if you're 80% good or 90% good or 95% good and you're not getting better, it may be that some of those times you're slipping up, you're preventing your body from healing. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to be 100% good, but if you're 80, 85, 90% good and you're getting better and you finally heal, fantastic. If not, go back to the beginning and commit yourself. Just say to yourself or ask yourself, do you really want to end this discomfort? Do you really want to end this pain? Can you picture a life without these symptoms? Because you can have it. I know, because I don't have these symptoms anymore. Because I figured out how to nourish and not annoy my body. So as far as the chemistry goes, that's the main thing. You need to find out what foods are good for you and what foods are not. The next thing you need to do with chemistry is you need to work with a practitioner, hopefully, or work on figuring out a 4R program that's right for you. Now, I have a general 4R program that's in my office, and I can give you the information. It's on a list of supplements. That's great for a lot of different people, but it's not right for everybody. It may be an 80%er, meaning that 80% of the people that go through the program will get great results, but it's definitely not for everybody. You see, I believe that everybody has a different set of issues because everybody had a different life. Some of the things that I mentioned in my life might be similar to yours, but they're nowhere near the same. Everybody has different experiences, and so everybody's gut issues, everybody's health issues is different. And this is where medicine fails most of the time. Because medicine is great at saving your life sometimes. Hopefully they're great at that if you have an emergency. But with chronic gut issues, very often they fall short because the protocols treat everybody the same and expect the same results. But you are different than every single other person you know and everybody in your family. And you need to be treated as such. And that's why working with somebody like me that treats you like an individual, you get better results. So let's say you can't see me and you want to go through a protocol just to see if you can get better. Go visit my website. You're going to learn a whole lot more. Again, drjasonpiken.com. But I'm going to tell you about the 4R program and just what it means in general. The 4R stand for remove. First, we're going to remove bad foods, okay? And we're also going to remove bad bugs. I mentioned those microorganisms, and I mentioned that most microorganisms that are in and on your body are beneficial. They're good. They're friendly microorganisms. Most of them live in your gut. But you can get bad ones, either from food poisoning or drinking bad water or getting an infection from some other way, shape, or form. There are these bugs, microbes, parasites, protozoa that can enter our body, yeast, funguses, that can enter our body and cause harm. So sometimes we have to take nutrients, these antimicrobial herbs. Some people take antibiotics or other medications. I use herbs because that's what I can use. And we kill off, remove the bad guys. Okay? The next R is restore. What we want to do is restore digestive enzymes. See, the normal process of digestion means that you're secreting all these enzymes, anywhere from the saliva to your pancreas. In your stomach there's enzymes. Your gallbladder will help you to break down fats. All these enzymes have to work well, but if you've had these stresses all your life building up, it can short circuit your ability to produce these enzymes. So while you're healing, it's really good to take digestive enzymes. Which one are right for you? It's personalized, but I have it on my list exactly which ones I like to take. And for right now, at least the time I'm making this video, I'm using Symlase GFCF. Symlase GFCF by Integrative Therapeutics. Like it, it works well. I also use just regular Symlase, not just GFCF. GFCF is the gluten-free, casein-free one, and I like the general Symlase just as much. Okay, it's a more broad spectrum. So that's restoring digestive enzymes. Then we want to re-inoculate your gut. We want to re-inoculate your gut with the good bacteria because you may have taken antibiotics, you may have eaten a poor diet, you may have had too much alcohol or too much stress, we'll get into that in a moment, and caused harm to those good friendly bugs that are part of your immune system that help you to digest your food and create nutrients like vitamin K. So if you don't have enough of these good friendly bugs in your gut, you need to find the right probiotic to temporarily feed and seed your gut. But even more importantly, you need prebiotics. Prebiotics are the food for the good bacteria. They're basically fiber usually. And what these good friendly bugs, even if you have low amounts in your gut, if you keep feeding them the right things, the right types of fiber, well, what you'll do is you'll grow them. If you feed them the wrong foods, or if you harm them with harmful chemicals, they might die off. But if you feed them these prebiotics, they can thrive. And probiotics are great symptomatically, and some people's guts and immune systems are so thrown off for so many years that they have to stay on probiotics to feel good. But if I can get somebody off of probiotics and on prebiotics to maintain, that's so much better. And the two most common ones that I use right now are PHGG, partially hydrolyzed guar gum, partially hydrolyzed guar gum, and Healthy Fiber is the name I use in my office. And then there's a blend, I'm not going to name everything in the blend, by Claire Labs, K-L-A-I-R-E, called Biotogen. And this is a blend of healthy fibers that you can take in a pill form, and it feeds the good bacteria. Now, which one is right for you, or either of them right for you right now? I don't know, but this is part of the protocol that I have all written now, and you can take a look at it when you're ready. And then the last one is repair, the last R. Repair means we need to take nutrients that soothe and heal our gut. You see, I meet people all the time that said, I've cleaned up my diet and I still don't feel better. I take probiotics and I still don't feel better. I take digestive enzymes and I still don't feel better. What are they missing? The entire package. They didn't systematically go from the beginning to the end, and if they were having troubles, they didn't work with the right person that could help them through this. Remember, I mentioned a few minutes ago that sometimes you need to sit down with yourself and ask yourself the question, am I really ready to heal? Because what that means is you might take 6 months to a year to get better. And if you commit that time, you really can get better. I see it all the time. And unfortunately, more often than not, I do see people fail because they're not ready. And I haven't made the commitment in my office yet for people to pledge or sign a contract saying they're going to be perfect. I know I'd get better results with people if I did, but I also believe in giving people a chance. And some people are not ready to jump and leap. They're not ready to get better, and I know if I can stay on them for enough time, if they will work with me, or if we can work together in the education process, well then when they're ready for that leap, they can get tons. Maybe not perfect, but they're better, and that's really the key. Your life can be better, and that's what I want from you. And that's why I've explained all this stuff to you so far. So I've gone through the physical stresses and the 4R program and some other chemistry stresses that can affect the body. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention what I use for repair. It's simple, RepairVite from Apex Energetics. I have not found a single product that's better. I do use other products with other people, but as a single go-to product, RepairVite from Apex Energetics is fantastic. If you have more upper GI symptoms, I use RepairVite GT. It has extra L-glutamine in it, and it's a blend of nutrients that really helps in the healing process. So, lastly is the emotional. On this channel, if you want to spend some time, you're going to understand that the emotions play a huge part in healing. More than we have time to ever discuss. And I'm going to explain to you two things that you need to understand. Sympathetic, parasympathetic. Two halves of your nervous system. And this is really the last thing you need to understand to heal. The sympathetic nervous system is the part of the nervous system that drives you, that gets stuff done, that makes you money, that takes care of your kids, that gets you dressed in the morning, that gets you excited about going to a concert. Anytime you're up and alive and spending any type of energy, even if it's just in front of a computer, mental energy, that's your sympathetic nervous system. And when that part of your nervous system is active, you do not heal. You may do incredible things. You may be in the Guinness Book of World Records or make the greatest YouTube video in the world because you have this sympathetic dominance, but you're not going to heal. You can't. Because the only time you're healing is when the parasympathetic nervous system is dominant over the sympathetic. And when does that happen most? When you're sleeping. That's pretty much it. Now, if you're really calm and relaxed, sure, it's happening also, but it's really when you sleep. And I'm telling you, most everybody watching this video right now does not rest enough. If you're one of the people that do, maybe some of those other stresses are the ones you have to concentrate on, the physical, the chemical. But the vast majority of people I see in my office as New Yorkers are on the move all the time, including myself. Yet, I do give myself a high priority to allow the parasympathetics to work. So here are some tricks on healing. 1, 7.5 hours sleep. That's it. Just get it. No excuses. Find a way to get there as your average. Number 2, meditate. 20 minutes a day if you can. If you can't, 2 minutes a day. Doesn't matter how you start. Number 3, when you eat, sit down and relax for at least a few minutes. Rest and digest go together. And if you can't figure out how to do that, check out my website for more tips and tricks. I created so much information because I truly want people to get better. And what you'll notice, again, you've seen this in other videos, I'm calming down my energy because I'm talking about the parasympathetic nervous system. See, it doesn't mean you can't be alive. It means that you have to take time to rest and heal. I know this was a lot of information, but I do hope that this inspires you to take some type of action, to work on your physical body through exercise, through movement, through finding a great chiropractor, hopefully an applied kinesiology doctor, through changing your chemistry by JERF, by just eating real food, and maybe even taking the next stage and finding out what food is right for you by doing an elimination reintroduction diet. And by taking the time to relax and heal every single day, because if you don't take that time, you're not going to heal. And it really starts with sleep. So there are lots of other things I can say. They're all in the videos on my YouTube channel and on my website. Please ask me questions. Let me know what I missed, and I'd love to give you the little tidbits, because I really don't rehearse these things. I just speak truths that I know. What you're hearing here is what I tell patients when they pay me every single day. This is what I do. And I just want to put it out to the universe because I know I can help more people that way. The last little piece I'm going to leave you is, I hope you're ready to get better. Because all you really need to be is ready. Because the information is out there. Whether it's from my channel or the plethora of other health channels out there. We're all saying some version of the same thing. I hope my voice and the way I tell it is something that inspires you to make a change. So if this does make a change, or if you like this video, if you've thought of anybody else during this video that you believe could be helped, please share it, please like it. We need more people to watch videos like this, and we need this information getting out to the world. So keep passing it on. Keep passing it on. All right, I'm going to stop it right there. I'm Dr. Jason Piken. Thank you for paying attention and learning, and I really hope that helps. Have a great day.